Come on in. How you doing?
Okay.
Can you sign in with him when you're done? We'll get started here because we have a smaller crowd this week and we have a subject that we could probably spend many hours talking about. So I want to give our guests ample time to speak, and then I do want to thank Carlos from the Let's Safe Resource Center and Sheila from the city's Building and Housing Department for stopping by to help us answer questions. We're going to focus tonight on lead. I became a lead risk assessor back in 2006 when I was a community organizer, and we've been working on lead issues in this country for decades. I mean, some of y'all remember when we made unleaded gasoline. You guys remember when that was like a new thing, right? They actually took the lead out of gas, and people were like, why? It was great, right? So the problems with lead go back decades. We've known about this for hundreds of years, really. The Romans knew that lead was a poison. And so we've been doing a lot of work to try to reduce the impact of lead poisoning in our community. And it sort of culminated last year when we finally passed an ordinance that requires a lead-safe certification for rental units. And I'm trying to speak up here so that our friends that view this later can hear me. So we want to be able to answer any questions people have about that lead-safe certification registry, but also lead is an issue whether you're a homeowner, a tenant, or a landlord. So this is something I tell people, all three of my kids are about 6, 8, and 10, give or take, and all three of them have been raised in a house chock full of lead. There's lead on every wall in our house. Our house is built in 1944. There's lead, I guarantee it, on every single wall in my house. And none of my kids are poisoned because I'm fully aware of lead issues and I knew how to take care of my house and what to do, when to do it. So it's totally possible for us to live with lead and have healthy, productive lives. It's not a death sentence to have lead in the house, but we need to know about it and what to do about it. And I'm going to ask Carlos here to take over, and he can tell you about some of the other issues around it, and then how to deal with it if you need help dealing with lead. And then Sheila can answer questions, I think, maybe about some of the specifics of the Cleveland Lead Safe Registry, and anything in between they can't get. And Ken Foreman is here, the Director of Environmental Health Watch, him, Organizer of the Year 2021.
Yes.
I don't know who, you deserve that award. I don't know if anybody gave it to you, but we're going to go back in time and make sure you get it. And Larry LaPrade from, what department are you with?
I'm with the Department of Building and Housing.
You are?
Yes, sir.
Okay, what do you do for building housing?
So I am the program manager for the lead certification process.
Oh, I didn't quite get
Yeah.
He's
So
who
that's-
you is.
I'm not with Burtonville Card.
I knew you were the BBC, but I forgot what department you were in. I kind of thought you were going to stop by to say hi.
Oh, no, I dragged him.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll let Carlos take over here then.
Thank you.
All right?
Hello. How's everybody doing?
Good.
All right. First, I want to thank Councilman Harsh for giving us the platform for this. My name is Carlos Elliott. I'm the outreach coordinator for the Lead Safe Resource Center. He spoke on the law that was passed. It was passed in 2019 that all rental properties in the city of Cleveland has to have a lead safe certification, which I'm sure you guys will get into in a few moments. So I won't cover that aspect. My primary job is outreach. We're in all 17 wards of the city. We're working off of what they call a zip code rollout. It's actually 8 groups of the rollout, and that means that we're in, I want to say, in between 2 to 5 zip codes and multiple wards within a 90-day timeline, right? And part of our work is door knocking, canvassing, business to business, organizations, trying to build a collaborative relationship so that after we're out of the area, we can continue on. Oh, I was speaking too fast. She had me talking over here about that good bacon from back in the day. Yeah, man, I got excited. But, so a couple of things that he spoke about, they had the lead in the gas, had the lead in the pencils. All of those things are out now due to another law that was passed in 1978, where they got rid of the lead. I guess what my goal is today is to build a more collaborative understanding with the people in this area around what we're doing. We have a resource center that's a one-stop shop for the lead safe goals. We have RRP, which is renovation, repair and painting. We have the clearance tech with the risk assessors. We have lead 101. Lead 101 is very interesting based on the fact, for people that don't know what the lead is, they give you the information. Excuse me. It gives you the information to be able to lower your risk factors, right? And it gives you the information so you can understand it and apply it. Sheila Calloway, she's our educator for that. Akbar Tyler is running the workforce development aspect. And we have a landlord-tenant liaison, Miss Tracy Washington, who's, if you have issues with getting the transfer of information between a landlord and tenant, she's working with the courts. She lets everybody knows what their rights is and try to help, walking hand in hand in this effort. And call center. I apologize. So on this brochure that I have right here, you'll see our address and call center, our hotline, which have I think 3 people working Monday through Friday to answer any questions that you have. It's 833-601. Oh, boy, there you go. Yeah. Hear me? So yeah, man. Oh my God.
Wait, what is it for the people at home?
Oh, it's 833-601-5323.
833-601-5323.
Which actually spells out lead if you want to.
Oh.
Yeah, there we go.
661 lead.
Yeah, there you go.
All right.
601 was.
601 lead.
There you go. Scared me a little bit, but it's all good.
And what's the email?
The website.
Yeah.
It's leadsafeclee.org.
Leadsafeclee.org.
Right. And so on this website, it's interesting because a lot of the information that you'll call to ask for, you have accessibility to it on the website, as well as data for what areas we've been in, how many houses has been affected, those types of things as well. It's on the website. We also have, because any house built before 1978 has a high lead risk, right? Based on the year, we have another website, which is cleveland.housing.help, where you can actually go in, put in your address, and they'll let you know what risk level you're at. Yeah, so it's a lot of proactive things taking place. Any questions?
So if a landlord is trying to get their unit into compliance, what kind of resources are available to help them do that?
Oh, well, first I'll ask that you call a call center, right? But the call center is going to let them know that there's our grants and loans available to be able to help with that process.
Tell us about the grants and the loans.
Boom.
Okay. Carlos is like, I'm done. So, Environmental Health Watch is the administrator for the Resource Center.
Your name again, honey?
Kim Foreman, I'm the director of Environmental Health Watch and administrator for the Land State Resource Center. So we have 2 options for landlords, really 3. So Cleveland Housing Network manages loans and grants. If you want to go that route and get assistance from Cleveland Housing Network, they will manage your job from beginning to end. They'll check your eligibility and see if you get loans, grants, combination. So you can go to Cleveland Housing Network for loans and grants. For us at the Resource Center, we have,
Is CHN at their office down on 30th and Payne?
yes,
In the Asia Plaza.
Yeah.
They have their office. You go down to Asia Plaza, there's tons of free parking on 30th and Payne.
Great
yes.
food.
Great food.
Parking
Baba
lot.
waffles, my kids won't
Yes.
shut up about them. Baba waffles at Asia Plaza with the Lead Paint Resource Center at CHN.
See it right. So the other option is some people don't want to get any loans, right? So with our option is to do it yourself landlord. So with workforce, now there's a federal law that's been out since 2004 that any landlord working on their own property has to have a renovation, repair, and painting certification. So we offer those for free. They're regularly scheduled twice a month.
Does that mean they're certified to do the work or they're certified after the work's done?
To do the work. If you're a landlord and you want to work on your own property,
Yes.
you must have this
To
certification.
what, like to
do any work on your roof, any
And
disturbing, any paint.
it's like a 40-hour class?
It's a one-day class.
It's a one-day class?
How long is it good for?
5 years,
And it's free?
and it's free.
So you
from
stop
us.
down for 1 hour, I mean, for 1 day?
Yes,
One
For 1
day.
hour.
yes.
8
That's a
hours.
lead removal though, right? Is that the main-
It's not abatement.
Okay.
This is focused on prevention and lead safety,
Okay, all right.
right?
So that you know, so a landlord knows how to do the work properly.
Right.
So a landlord doesn't get popped later on for not knowing how to have done it the first
You
time.
didn't do this right, you did it, yeah.
Yeah, and it's a federal law, it's not
And that's
something
for
we even
painting,
created.
that's not for
Yeah.
changing out a furnace.
And that's for painting, not for changing out a furnace.
Well, any well,
Right, okay.
let me be clear, any contractor,
Any contract.
any contractor touching a property and they're disturbing a certain amount of paint or or engaging in any kind of construction has to have this RRP certification, repair, renovation, and painting. Federal law mandated in 2004, right? So we're offering that to you, but if you do your work, or you have property managers, or you're already certified, you get the work done, you bring that certification to the resource center, and we'll give you $500 reimbursement up to 3 properties in each zip code. So if you have 3 properties in 44105, you can get $1,500. You have 3 properties in 44101, you get $1,500.
Let's say that again.
And what's the
So-
money for?
Reimbursement,
so-
that you actually did the work, this is a do
For
it
the paint and
yourself.
all the stuff.
For the
you-
paint, the
Do-it-yourself
plaster,
landlord.
the sheets,
Yeah.
the
It's like the old
spackle
paint program
for,
used to be.
Yeah, you did the same thing.
and it's for landlords.
If you already, when you get your certification, you show us you have your certification from building and housing, and we'll give you that $500 per unit up to 3
And
years.
so Old Brooklyn is 44144 and 44109, so it's very possible for a landlord that has 6 properties in Old Brooklyn to get $3,000
Right.
through this program, just if you own properties just in Old Brooklyn and you're at least scattered throughout our 2 zip codes.
One class to
Well, the
qualify.
class is for you to be able to work on your own property.
Yes.
Because in the class, we have contractors, we have landlords who wanna work on their own
What
property.
about the money you talked
Okay,
about?
I'm gonna check
They
that out.
class first before they qualify for that. They just-
No,
okay.
what I'm saying is, in
You
general,
have to do it in order.
by law, you must get this certification
anyway, in
of
other
work
words.
on your property.
Yeah.
How often do you run the classes?
Twice a month, right now, twice a month, usually on a Monday and a Wednesday. That's how the cycle
Are they not
is.
Saturdays anymore?
Clearance Tech was on Saturday, that's, RRP is right now based on our trainer, but we're trying to get certified so we can run the classes, and I understand people work and stuff, but right now we have to
Did
depend
anybody
on.
go to that class?
We really want, anybody going to the RRP class needs to either have a construction background, they do, handy person, experience, they need to be able to address.
Not just for academic reasons.
Exactly,
That's
we're
because
gonna
you're bored.
say the seats, cause we pay for those, we only ask people to give us a $50 refundable deposit.
Okay.
So we pay for this, we want active folks in the community, that has the ability to do the work.
So if somebody wants to, has a rental property, and they want to repaint their property,
Yes,
they're supposed to have this anyways.
yes, they are.
So they sign up for the class, they're a banker, but they also have a rental property, and they want to get the certification.
Yes,
They don't have a construction background, but
they are landlords.
they're landlords.
Mhm.
So they're gonna take this class, learn all that they need to learn, go, buy the paint, do the work, come back to you, ask you to come and look at what a great job they did.
No, we don't look. They go to building a house and then get them their report
Okay,
from the clearance tech. So I did the work.
okay, that's separate from the lead certification, am I correct?
Yeah, so the
Yeah.
process, let's walk through the 6 steps in the process.
And I did probably 3 I probably did 40 or 50 lead clearance exams last
Right.
year.
But that's
So I
not,
can
that's
talk about
not,
that.
yeah, but that's not the RRP.
So I'm gonna walk
Right.
through the
We're not
steps,
there.
right?
Yeah.
So I'm a landlord, I can check my property, right? I might wanna do it myself. Check my property, just look around, do I have chipping and peeling paint? I need to deal with my property. Go to the class, get an RRP certification, do the work on my property. I have to call a third party tester to come do the clearance on my property, to make sure the dust is cleaned up, there's no chipping and peeling paint. As a landlord, you can do all the work and clean it, right? And then have a clearance tech person come and check it and make sure there's no problems. Once that's cleared and checked, and you get your lab results in your report, take that to building and housing.
So I would do that for
That's what you used to do.
Yeah, so I would do that for landlords, and when I did it, I would actually send the packet of paperwork to the landlord and building and housing simultaneously, and just as a service to the landlord, so if they pass, so the person you hired to do your clearance exam is somebody you're hiring, they work for you, they answer to you. I got this question a lot, if they fail, do I tell the city? This was last year before I was in council, I worked at Metro West Community Development, we did some lead clearance exams. People said, well, if I fail, are you gonna tell the city? And I said, no, you're my client, I work for you, I will tell you if you fail, and I will tell you where you failed, and you can go back and fix it. But if you pass, I'll go ahead and save you the trouble and just send you all the paperwork to the city directly. So once the city has the paperwork directly, the city then mails you your lead safe certification that you have on file. It's like an actual piece of paper they put in the mail, and they send it to you, and they put it on their electronic records.
Yeah, it's
And now
nice.
you've got that unit.
And it's good for 2 years. So, on the other side, we do have a list at the Resource Center online of vetted contractors that do RRP, do the work, and clearance tests. It is a conflict of interest for the landlords to do their own clearance, but we have landlords who qualify to help other landlords.
Right, okay.
But it's a conflict if you do your own clearance.
The person that
or
does the work can't do the
Can't
test.
do it, the test. But we have a list to support landlords to be compliant, so you could call people there that can address your concerns and your properties. If you don't do it yourself, you have that resource.
Thank you so
Is
much.
that good? Is that enough?
Yeah.
Any more questions?
Any other questions? Can anybody think of questions that might be asked for our audience at home? Yeah,
I got a question.
yeah.
So if you have properties, so I have 3 properties that besides my own. So I found it easier if I buy a property that's distressed, just to go in there, completely gut it, drywall it. Just not even mess with the plaster, not even mess with the paint, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Put new woodwork in, it ends up being cheaper in the long run. How do you still have to test yearly, bi-yearly?
Full
No.
gut rehab.
If you can prove
I take pictures of everything.
that the house has been abated of lead, we go in, not me, but somebody will go in with an XRF machine, which is an X-ray fluorescence machine, check the walls, check the baseboard, make sure there's no lead paint existing, you get a clearance, and that's good for 20 years,
Okay.
okay? And you get an exemption for 20 years.
And that comes
So
from the lead assessor.
The
that is
same,
from a risk assessor that can check your property.
you have to be a lead risk assessor to use one of those
XRF.
guns, they're called a gun in the state of Ohio.
But before you do that, you're gonna go and pull a permit with
Let's go.
who? Thank you. You're gonna pull a permit with building and housing, so I don't get a phone call from your neighbor,
Yeah.
because that's where it all starts.
So the 20-year exemption is still a bit of a struggle because finding certified lead risk assessors, which is a higher level of certification than a clearance technician, to do them is a little bit challenging. Those XRF guns are not as easy to come by as you might think. I brought this up in budget about the city being able to loan them out, but you have some?
I have them on our list, and I know if they have an XRF, so I have probably like 3 or 4 people on our vetted list with XRF machines.
They'd already have the
Yes.
machines? Okay,
And
great.
they are risk assessors. And we have both.
And do you know if they're charging for a full house check?
Absolutely not.
No, okay. So I know you can get a lead clearance exam for anywhere between 150 on the low end to, I mean, you know, on the high end, you can, I think some people are charging $500-600, which
Depending
is
on how big your
nuts.
house is. and
They shouldn't charge as much for a clean. We don't dictate what they charge.
That's right.
On the website, we give you range.
It's a free market thing, you know,
Yeah.
people are in business and
Yeah.
they'll charge what they think is charged. We always charge one, we charge them, I think we charge 200 for the first, because we would always spend a half hour with you on site to talk about the test and so you understood what you're getting into. And then 150 for each additional, but those prices depend on where you go. There was one other thing I wanted to say. Oh, so the city is rolling out enforcement by zip code, which Carlos started off talking about. Do you guys know off the top of your head where 44144 and 44109 are in the rollout?
Okay, so,
Good for you.
yeah, that's my expertise right
Yeah.
there.
Alright.
Yeah, I can get into that one. 44144 actually has, expiration date at the end of this month, on the 31st.
So,
Right.
you probably know if you're in 44144, but it's basically everything west of Fulton. There's a weird jagged line over here, but west of Fulton is when?
Actually, it's west of Fulton and the beginning of, I think it's 43rd. Right?
Okay.
Yeah, so 43rd up towards Ridge, and that's due on the 31st. However, of March.
Of March, so we're coming up on.
Right. However, we're back in the zip code, back in the ward. The next zip code rollout, which is at the end of the June 31st.
Okay.
Right. And as far as 44109, that's September.
This September.
This September.
Okay. So all of
you're
them
gonna see a
broken
lot of
through this
activity.
year.
Yeah, you're gonna see
Okay.
a lot of activity over here.
And what happens if you miss your deadline? You were sleeping, and you woke up, and the deadline had passed, and you're all concerned that you're going to go to jail. What's the
Well,
penalty?
here's
if
the
you miss?
thing. So when it comes to that, I would implore you to call the resource center, but you can take an active role yourself. You know what I'm saying? We have an ABC. It's taking the active role yourself with the application to show some type of commitment to the effort. Be responsible for your own property. Start making sure that you're taking those routes and find a contractor. But I implore you to please call the resource center because I may have missed something that she ain't gonna let me with.
But
If
they
I
need
do.
to call,
What's the
Yeah,
penalty?
call Larry.
If they
Call
miss
Larry.
their deadline-
Larry, what's up? Are you the lead police, Larry? Is that your real job? You're the lead police.
So hi, everybody. My name is Larry the and I work for the City of Cleveland Department of Building and Housing. First of all, I'm excited to be here. This is my first community meeting that I've attended since COVID rolled out.
Yay, we're back.
So I
back.
enjoy community meetings and just hanging out and just really just engaging with people. I think that's my strong point. So I'm just glad to be here. Here's my card if you want to pass that around. And I'm also going to pass around a pamphlet. I know you guys maybe got this in the mail, but the inside of this pamphlet has the rollout schedule that Carlos is speaking to for when your zip codes are due. So if you want to pass some of those around, and inside this pamphlet, it has all the information that you need to get in contact with the Lead Safe Resource Center. It has their telephone number, which is 1-833-601-5323. It also has their, sometimes if they're backed up with telephone calls, also let residents know to just shoot them an email. And the email is info@leadcertcle.org. The light kind of went out.
What? Are they timered?
That could be.
Usually they'll go on with motion.
So start jumping jacks.
No, there's no way they're gonna notice.
Otherwise, they got
City didn't pay the bill for this.
Thank you.
Did you pay the light bill?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. So on the,
Okay, you got that side.
okay, we're rocking and
A little
rolling.
bit.
So on the inside, it gives you information about the program. It has the rollout certification schedule. It has the number to the Land Resource Center, as well as the number to the department. Also has the rollout schedule. That's the big thing. So a lot of things that were explained are already inside the pamphlet on how to get in contact with the Lead Safe Resource Center. So I'll just take you through how I would do a call. A resident call says, hey, my zip code is coming up. What do I need to do? Say, hey, I'm going to give you the number to the Lead Safe Resource Center. The Lead Safe Resource Center is the first step to what you need to do. They're like the one-stop shop. If you need to get a contractor, if you need to just get in contact with the Cleveland Housing Network, who has financial gains to support you with your out-of-pocket expenses, they can connect you to that organization. And then even when we talk about enforcement, some people say, hey, well, I know that I'm past due. I don't want to go to jail. I'm not trying to put anyone in jail over this anyway, but say, hey, what can I do? I will say, first, what I would want you to do is to contact the Lead Safe Resource Center and to get in contact with the contractor that's going to support you with getting your certification. And then what you can do is to send me the work plan showing a good faith effort that you're doing something so you wouldn't receive a violation notice from the city of Cleveland. Because one thing that we are doing now, we are sending out violation notices for individuals who have not complied with getting the certification. And even after you may receive the violation notice, just something just to kind of turn the lights on, like, oh my God, I didn't get this done, essentially what I need to do. And then I just walk people through the process. I don't want to ticket individuals, I don't want to send them to housing court, because if I then send you to housing court, it's nothing that I can do. And the biggest thing is I just want compliance in order to support you guys with doing what you need to do to get the Lead Safe certification.
Certification is certified.
Mhm.
Well, it's certified lead safe.
Lead safe.
Yeah.
Lead safe.
Yeah, we're not asking anybody to take all the lead out of their house.
Yep.
You wouldn't, I mean, it's,
And one thing you have to remember, this is in place for all rental properties that were created before 1978. If your rental property was created in 1979 and so on and so forth, you're exempt. We have an affidavit that you can ask for that I can either mail you and or email you, and you can fill that paperwork out and you can send it back to me, and we'll have it on file knowing that you are exempt because your property was built after 1978. Another thing is, I know that housing court is not letting landlords do evictions without having the lead safe certification. That's not something that we are enforcing, that's what housing court is doing.
yes and no.
Okay.
So, if you are a landlord and you are trying to evict someone, and they will not give you access to the unit to do the lead clearance exam, you got a chicken and egg problem.
Right.
Housing court is allowing landlords to fill out a waiver. I did this with the landlord.
Okay.
We went to the unit together. He knocked on the door and said, I'm here for your lead certification. The tenant's like, you ain't coming in. I said, okay, you're right, they wouldn't let us in. And he turned that in and got the eviction.
Okay.
Because there was this problem where sometimes you got to evict the tenant because, we're sort of like mid voyage here, right? In order to get in to do the lead safe clearance. So there is an exemption form. I don't want landlords to think that if they've got awful tenants that won't let them in, they're screwed. There is an exemption for those situations. I did one with a landlord. It took 10 minutes. The people were like, you're not allowed in. I'm like, you're right. We tried. They wouldn't let you in, and he got to go for it.
Okay.
So just-
Thank you, Councilman.
Yeah.
And that's not my strong point for what's happening at housing court. I can only speak to what we're doing in-house in regards to the lead safe certification. Another thing, you definitely have to get a rental registration as well, and that's $70. That's due on an annual basis. That's March 1st of every year. So if you already have one, just keep in mind that it's due, but we're extending it until April 15th of 2022. And for the last 2 years, there has not been any late fees because of that, but I know this year there are conversations going about turning on the late fees for the rental registration process. But again, this is a really good pamphlet that has a lot of information. And like I said, if you have any questions and or concerns, you can definitely just give me a call. You do have my card. It's 664-4216. I do receive a lot of calls, so the best thing to do is to shoot me an email, and I'll definitely email you. Sometime I may get home and it's 8 o'clock at night and I'm still going through my emails and still email people just to, try to support it. Go ahead.
Guess I got a couple questions. I thought I read somewhere you only needed it if there was children in the house?
No.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Second question was, I also thought I read somewhere if you're renting it to like family members, you didn't need it.
No.
I thought I read that on the city's website.
So it's kind of tricky. So it's for all rental properties before 1978.
Okay.
Bottom line. So, but I do know that sometimes it can get tricky with affidavits and things of that nature. When they say, well, I'm renting to my daughter and she doesn't pay rent. And so I try not to get involved in
That's
that.
for your rental registration and you're paying the fee. I'm gonna answer to that. If you're renting to your family member who's not paying you rent, then
Or below market value.
not paying you rent is all I understand.
Yeah, I think the city just says
We don't
either
say-
they pay rent or they don't.
Yeah.
We don't
Either
deal
they
with
do or
market
they
value.
don't.
Because that could.
Yeah, it's like either they pay rent or they don't pay
So
rent.
Sheila's gonna get to a very important
Yeah,
point
right.
here, though.
Yeah, they either pay rent or they don't. So it's a family member, my son's living on the other side of the house, then you fill out an affidavit stating that, and it has to be notarized. Obviously not by a family member, and then you get that to us. Every year that has to be filled out and re-notarized, so that it's always up to date.
Yeah.
And
And
that's
also,
just for rental.
yeah, and that's for rental. So another is, say you have a duplex and someone lives upstairs, but and like the landlord lives upstairs, but they have a tenant downstairs. The landlord may say, well, hey, do I have to get my unit certified as well? They don't. They
Just
would,
downstairs.
yeah, just downstairs. But it's been landlords just saying, hey, well, since you're here, let's just do the whole thing. Cause I may be moving, and then if I move, then I'm back at square one. So let's just get it all done.
So, like I know in the 44109, in Old Brooklyn area, a lot of people are complaining about rent increases, they can't afford it. Is there a fear that this is gonna make things more unaffordable? Because landlords are now gonna have to pay more, which then costs is gonna have to increase rent prices?
So the landlords that I did clearance exams for last year actually only had to pay for the clearance exam. They didn't actually spend any more money on maintaining or updating their properties. But these were landlords that were also very good to begin with. These were landlords that came out very quickly. They were like, hey, Chris, I heard about this thing. I want to go ahead and take care of this. I walked through their properties. Their properties were in good shape. They were up to date with their maintenance schedule. These were like landlords who were like pros and like good dudes in the neighborhood that knew what they were doing. And it didn't cost them anything other than to have me come in and pay for their clearance exam. So for what we were charging, I suppose if they wanted to jack up rent $12 a month to be jerks about it, I mean $6 a month because it's good for 2 years, maybe they could have, but it's a really minimal expense for the landlord in that respect. The landlords that are going to have financial problems are the ones that aren't maintaining their properties and suddenly find out that they do have to go fix that wall that's been peeling, flaking, chipping, bubbling for 5 years and is causing a problem that they've been ignoring. And that's where they can then go to the resource center to get the $500 to help. Kim, you're chomping at the bit.
Because.
Okay, because this is part of where the rubber hits the road in terms of enforcement for this. We're not trying to drive landlords out of business.
I just want to make sure we understand what land safe means in regards to financial, expenses. So we've done research on moderate, low-level mitigation. So we are averaging about $2,000 to do a mitigation or make the property land safe, right? If, like you said, you have deferred maintenance, that's all. But to make a home land safe is really keeping the paint up, cleaning it, right? You don't have to replace components, right? So just to think about the cost that we're asking people to comply is we really try to make it feasible, because let me explain the other side of the coin. If you have a child with poisoning, you must abate.
Yeah.
You have an order on the property, you can't rent it, and then the health department is overseeing everything. So to poison a child, you might spend $10,000 because now you have to actually abate the hazard versus making the home less safe and be proactive and preventative. It's saving you from poisoning. So it's, you know, it's a cost of doing business.
So it's being proactive instead of reactive.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's not a $10,000 price tag that some myths are, you know, out there like, oh, that's just because people are used to the HUD programs and what HUD spends on houses. This is not the same system.
Well, is the city gonna help these people to repaint or whatever? Because
We have
the way
resources.
Joe Biden has got everybody with this
We're
inflation.
not here to talk
they don't
about
have any money to
politics.
We
repaint.
have money to help people. We talked about
So-
that. We can talk to you.
Frank, we'll give you all the resources again, but we just went over all of that. But you can get up to $1,500 per zip code to reimburse. And then there are also other avenues to get money available. So I want to kind of wrap it up though, because we're at the 45-minute mark.
And just 1 second too. So another thing you have to know when it comes to doing the eviction process, if your zip code is not yet due for a certification, you will be able to move forward with your eviction because your zip code is not due yet. So, just
But
let
you
you know.
will not be able to if
Yeah.
your rental registration is
Yeah.
not.
But yeah, so,
Right.
but you always have to make sure you have a rental registration. Does everybody have a pamphlet? Does everybody have my card?
Where do you get the
Yes.
rental registration at?
You can give me a call and I can get you connected with what you
Do you
need.
feel comfortable with me putting this on to that video? So
Sure.
if anybody else has questions
Absolutely.
on how to get it?
Yeah, they can
Public
do it.
officials.
Yeah, online.
Oh, it's on the
Because
city's
yeah,
website.
because it's on the city's website and you can do
Yeah.
it through our link and it's simple as 1, 2, 3.
Now, what if the county doesn't have your house in the system as a rental? Like in my situation, I have a couple houses that aren't as rentals because there's family that lives in there.
So,
And the county says if there's family that lives in there below market value, they don't have to be as rental.
so family is an interesting situation. I think I'm gonna try to jump and see if.
But I know
this is
that's
right.
the county.
So you're allowed to
tax
own 2 houses. Your family is allowed to own 2 houses. You're allowed to let your family live in your houses rent-free because they're your family and you love them and you don't want to charge them rent.
Or you don't want your mother-in-law living in your house.
Or you don't want your mother. You're allowed to buy your mother-in-law a house, stick it behind yours. Anyway,
Or 10 miles.
you're totally allowed to do that. And this law does not impact family-owned houses. If, though, you're letting your mother-in-law stay there knowing full well that next year she's going to move to the nursing home and you're going to rent it out, it's a rental. Or if she's paying you any rent at all, it's a rental. So just be very clear. If you ever want to charge anybody anything, it's a rental. But you are allowed to let your kids live in a house you own or your brother live in a house you own without charging them rent. Families are allowed to own houses and share with their family, and that's considered a family-owned house.
And I would also encourage you to make sure that you complete the affidavit.
Which one?
The rental affidavit through the city.
Yes.
And submit that on an annual basis and
Yeah.
we'll update that. in
That's
your
yearly, you said?
Yeah.
Yes, that's every year. Yep, March 1st.
So what is
So
this
they-
coming out of state area?
What is 833? I think it's the new 800.
It's like an 800.
It's a new 800. We went through all the 800s, then we went through all the 888s, and now we're in the 833. Yeah, it's just a toll-free number, which is weird because now everything's toll-free anyway. Nobody pays long distance anymore, so I don't know what any of these are for, but thank you, everybody from the city, from Let's Say. I think the other big one is 833-601-LED. 833-601-LEAD 5323.
They don't have watch lines anymore.
Right. I actually have a landline at home, and I look at it every month to see if I have a long distance charge. I haven't had one in years, and that's just kind of funny. So, cool. We're also ostensibly here to cover any other issues in Ward 13. I know that I'm going to put up a subject every month and try to focus on one thing. And thank you, John, for putting this out there for the folks who couldn't make it tonight. But if anybody has any questions about anything else, I did just spend about 100 hours going over the city's budget. I'm happy to cover any one of the $1.8 billion in it. I'm kind of joking,
Yeah,
because a big chunk of it is gas and utilities.
Can you tell us where the ward office is?
It's here. It's on the second floor.
On the second floor here?
At the other end. I signed the paperwork. I have a lease with the city between one side of City Hall and the other side of City Hall. We shook hands. I'm going to, I think, actually be able to move in this month and open up regular monthly office hours starting in April, right? This is March, yeah? So hopefully in April, I can guarantee you that I'll always be here on Wednesdays until the ward meeting starts here at 6 o'clock. So Wednesday evenings will always be one of my late nights. I'll be here until 7:30 every Wednesday for people that work second shift and need to see me, don't want to go downtown. I'm going to find one other day a week to stay here till about 7 o'clock at night to make myself available to our second shift work, our first shifters who get off work at 5 o'clock. But you're in it, right up there.
That's
Now,
great.
your predecessor started that Brooklyn Wi-Fi.
Yes.
I think their office is in
They don't have an office here, they have a base station here. Old Brooklyn Wi-Fi has about 7 base stations where the signal is transmitted out of, and Estabrook's one of them. So up on the roof is one of the main transmitters for the Old Brooklyn Wi-Fi.
there. Is any bumps coming up or anything?
Is there, I was gonna say, is there a lease for that?
I think the city gave like almost extremely free terms in order to do the experiment. Old Brooklyn Wi-Fi is almost 10 years, is over 10 years old. And it's mostly works outside if you're close enough to the transmitter. But it was a really important experiment because we had to find out how good our equipment was. Could we set up a neighborhood-wide bubble? This hadn't been done yet in America. Sorry, this was like we had to experiment, right? So we experimented here in Old Brooklyn. We found out what works and what doesn't work, and I'm ridiculously excited. This is what I look like when I'm really excited about the prospect of us having a municipal residential wireless program very soon. I'm on the utilities committee. I'm on the utilities committee for city council, and so I've been diving into this really head first. And I've been a sort of computer nerd since I was a kid. So we learned a lot from the Old Brooklyn network that is going to make it possible for us to do a really reliable residential broadband service. And I think that we can start to get really serious about that. But
Why are you talking about? You know what I'm
see, Cam's to Collinwood and the lake to wherever.
saying? So it'll be a little bit better, bump up the speed or whatever.
It would be reliable enough for you to use it as your primary internet use at home. Okay. The idea is to provide full residential service. We haven't signed any paperwork. We're looking at it. But what we learned here in Old Brooklyn is really informing our ability to do this properly. We learned enough from this experiment over 10 years that we think we can.
But there's 2 streets that it don't work on.
There's probably more than 2.
Revere Court's one.
Revere.
I live on the
I
other.
know Revere.
I know.
Look, I just looked over all your ledges for dunking. Are you talking about that kiddie pool that's around the bend? Were you the person that talked about dunking on Revere? Okay. Sorry, there's only like 10 houses on Revere. I assumed it was 20. Okay, you counted.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I have the privilege to actually be privy to the information that's happening in Glenville right now. They're actually doing a similar program, but instead of the 6 transponders, they have like 10, and it was actually for residential permission to be able to put them up there during the pandemic so that people could be able to have access to information.
Yeah.
So I can try to get you that information.
Yeah, is it the Digital C program?
Digital C.
Yeah. I'm fully up to speed with them. They're one of the actors in the field, and there's this whole thing about the last mile. It's about getting the signal from the fiber optic line to the actual at home, and it's got to be wireless because we can't run fiber to every single house.
Right.
And I guess we could. That'd be the most expensive way on earth to do it. But anyway. Any other?
But on a positive note,
Yeah.
nothing beats a fiber line, which AT&T is putting millions of dollars worth of fiber lines in Old Brooklyn.
Fiber line
And
is.
free is free.
It's fiber right to the house.
Fiber is so good, it's one of the only things that we can guarantee is going to still be good 20, 30 years from now. Fiber can carry so much data that we have only even scratched the surface of what fiber can do. The next big, right now we're looking at 50 down, 25 up in terms of megabits per second in order to make a home really feasible. The next big crushing defeat to all of our service comes when VR becomes the next internet usage. Once everybody's putting their Oculus Rifts on and getting into virtual, and that much data needs to come in because your kids aren't playing Minecraft, they're in Minecraft. You know what
Actually,
I mean?
Oculus just came out with a Minecraft.
Yeah, well, my daughter's all about. Oh my god, my 10-year-old
Get out and mow the lawn.
Minecraft is all she does. But they're going to like the immersive technology is what's next, and the data stream that we need. Fiber can handle it, but we're going to have problems with transmitting the right rates. Right now, we're looking at a service that will get you. You know, you can be online with your doctor while your spouse is doing their Zoom call, while the kid's playing some kind of like back and forth World of Warcraft or whatever. While another kid's streaming Netflix and another kid's doing another device, and that many devices are basically covered by 50 megabits down. You can cover all that, and that's really what we're looking at now because that's the internet for most people's daily use for the next number of years until we're all living in a virtual reality.
How long can every area without coverage?
Well, right now the old Brooklyn covers pretty much the entire of old Brooklyn as long as you're not on an edge. It covers pretty much all of old Brooklyn. The problem is the signal emanates from on top of the light poles, and in the summer when the leaves fill in, the canopy actually stops it. The canopy, the canopy, the trees actually act as interference. So what we're going to do is we're going to drop it down and then go into your house directly. So
Yeah, so it's a dual spectrum. On the 2.4 wavelength, it'll penetrate buildings because the wavelength is really
Yes.
long.
Yes.
But on the 5 gigahertz wavelength, it's really tight. So once you get vegetation, even a heavy rain or a heavy snow, windows, anything that's reflective, it severely decreases.
But the FCC has deregulated the 6 megahertz wavelength. 6 megahertz is coming into public domain.
Yes.
And that's going to change everything. We're all very excited about this. This is like,
Because
this is
I'm
good
on
news.
Gifford on the other side of Fulton.
Yeah.
And the old Brooklyn does
Right.
does not reach to my house.
It's
Right.
not perfect.
Most people don't get it inside their house.
Yeah.
I know one guy that's got a receiver set up in his window where he grabs the signal off the pole and boosts it into his house. He loves it. He's had it for 6 years. Hasn't had to buy the internet.
You have a suction company that goes on your window.
Yeah. I used to make them out of Pringle cans.
I bought mine for
You're
some
killing
Yeah.
$80.
Yeah.
It
You're
works.
killing me.
Yeah, you used to be able to, you could go to Radio Shack and buy like $350 worth of equipment, stick it inside the bottom of a Pringle can and point it around at
You
other
can,
people's.
yeah.
You still
Like a
work.
directional.
Yeah, that's a directional receiver.
A lot of kids come home from school and get on those games.
Yeah, they take a lot of data. So the budget was passed. I guess that's all that. Who cares about
That was a long week.
it? It was a very long week.
Yes, it was.
Building and housing got a raise. You guys, probably not as much as you're going to need. We'll have to look at it again, but
Yeah.
we're I think the general consensus was the mayor was elected for some bold change, and he's going to need a little wiggle room to figure out how to make that work. So we're going to give it to him.
We get
And
more revenue from all these new fancy apartments, you know. I mean,
what is the city making money?
yeah, I mean, is there residents living there paying more taxes and we're taking in more?
Yeah. So I mean, if you're talking about like abatements that are coming on.
No, I just mean for the city treasury, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Tax base.
So property tax is not the biggest chunk of our revenue. The city doesn't get a whole lot of revenue from property taxes. I just looked at all of this, right?
Municipal income tax.
Municipal income tax is where it's at. So we mostly make money from people who work in the city
Yep.
and pay an income tax. That's where like, oh my God, like 500 million of our budget or something like that comes from income tax. So property taxes don't make or break our budget. Income tax does. But the more people that live in the city, the more general jobs there are in the city. So we want the population to go up, right? We've been sliding for decades. We want to try to go up. So I'm all for getting more people to move in, and those projects bring more people to live in the city.
It's
so a good
amazing
thing.
downtown. We inspected so many of those apartments downtown.
Yeah.
Oh my God, and the cost, they're paying anywhere between 1,200
Yeah,
to,
3,000.
exactly.
It's remarkable.
Where are those people coming from?
I don't know,
we
who
would-
gave birth to those kids? 'Cause
Yeah,
I-
that's
We-
what everyone wants to
We're all in awe of their earning power.
Yeah.
We're all like amazed at how much money these
My son
kids
bought a
make.
house many years before I bought my first house.
Yeah.
I just didn't.
I'm in the group of people that are scratching their head wondering what they do for a living, but they're paying their rent and they're living downtown, so
They don't have anything.
they don't own anything.
They don't have a car.
Oh.
Cars,
okay.
they don't have, you know what I mean?
If
All
you
those
live
expenses
downtown-
we've acquired over time. We know kids.
Yeah.
If you live downtown, what's an RTA? $20 a week? What's the RTA pad, $20 a week?
You can buy a monthly.
So you can live a lot cheaper if you don't own a car, and you can just get around downtown on foot, and you know, a bus pass will get you to the grocery store once a week or something like that.
Got the grocery store downtown.
They have one right there on 9th. Yeah, I mean, you know,
I'm still with you. What are they doing for a
Right.
living?
Yeah, I assume I don't know, I guess, I think all rich people that aren't doctors and lawyers are bankers, right? I don't know.
No, my dad was a banker. No.
Okay, all right.
He's the vice president of the bank. That's not where it's at.
Anything else while we're all here? No? Okay.
Thanks.
Well, I won't hold you. It's almost 7 o'clock, and we'll do this again next month. Next month, the mayor conveniently planned his state of the city on the second Wednesday of the month, but I'm not canceling my meeting because I got here first. So
You may have a bigger audience.
the next month I will be here for probably about 40 minutes of the meeting. The rec center closes on its own. They have staff, and then I'll take off and I'll run over to the mayor's state of the city next month. But next month is Alzheimer's, senior issues. Got somebody coming in. Particularly, he's interested in minority community members. I guess there's something different about minority community with Alzheimer's, but he's gonna have lots of information about Alzheimer's in general. If you have any minority neighbors or anything that are dealing with elderly loved ones that have questions about it, stop by. I'm also gonna try to get the Department of Aging here to talk about other resources for seniors in general, and sort of focus on, you know, our aged community next month. And then May is, I believe, recycling. The city's going to be ready to talk about the recycling program. They should have a vendor by then, and they should be ready to talk about bringing recycling back in April. I'm sorry, May, and I don't know where we're at for June. So.
Okay, when you're done, I want to talk to you about something.
Okay, I'm here. I'm done.
Thank you, Chris.
All right, thanks for coming, everybody.
We got one more question.
Yeah.
I missed it. Where is this gonna be posted?
Oh, this is John. He's a neighborhood guy. He's going to throw this on his Facebook page, and he's got friends that will do it.
How do you find
Well, talk to him. He's.
How do you find that if you can't make the video?
John will post it on what? Living in Old
I'm gonna post it on
Brooklyn.
Living in Old Brooklyn, because I know there's a lot of older people that can't show, and I know there's a lot of people.
There's
that-
about 10,000 people on
98.
Living in Old Brooklyn. It's the largest Facebook page in
And
the
there's-
neighborhood, and it's probably the most civil. Some of the other ones get a little rowdy.
It's called living.
It's the old Brooklyn.
It's called Living in Old Brooklyn.